Welcome back to Show Me What I've Been Missing, your pop culture podcast that says, hey, look at that thing. I'm one of your hosts, Elizabeth Stanton, and with me is my other host,
Chris Mack and Bunny, Lego
and
Bunny.
his little Lego bunny.
Yeah, baby.
And right now we are working our way through Sex and the City. I've seen it way too many times. Chris has seen it like hardly at all.
Yes.
And we're actually at the end. I thought we were in the middle. We are at the end of season 4.
Woo!
We made it. We made
6
it.
years later.
6 years later.
6 more to go. We still got what, 3 more seasons?
No, just season 5 and 6. Although 6 is split into kind of 2 like weird half seasons.
That writer strike, right?
No, the 5th season is short, extra short because Sarah Jessica Parker got pregnant.
Oh.
And then the 2nd season, I think they kind of split to like make up for the shorter, like
I see.
5th season. So
Gotcha.
There you go. But part of what makes this one interesting. So I remember I told you last week off mic, off recording, I was like, this is their 9/11 tribute episode because this aired.
I was actually gonna ask you that because that's all the kind of the tribute at the end of the episode. I was like, is this post 9/11?
Yeah, so this aired February 10th of 2002, so about 5-6 months after 9/11. Now, the interesting thing I read, I wanted to just like re-look up information about this. It's unofficial. They did not actually plan this episode to be like a New York love letter tribute because of 9/11. It just was. It was written and shot and titled before 9/11 had ever happened.
Gotcha.
So I don't know, like they probably filmed it maybe late summer. Because the episode starts off with Carrie talking about like the change from summer to fall,
right?
And noticing like it's the first night you need a blanket on your bed while you sleep and
right.
And the show itself, I've read this somewhere too, for the first few seasons up until pretty much this episode has always been in this sort of perpetual spring summer like season. They never really go through like holiday, end of year holidays,
right,
or fall or anything like that. And then starting here, they actually do stay kind of more. From what I remember, not entirely, but we get a little more autumn. And then in the last season, we do finally get winter in New York. I won't say anything about what happens in those things because it's actually kind of significant. But
gotcha.
This is like, I don't know if it was planned as sort of like the first acknowledgement of just of things for them, those characters changing in bigger ways, because a lot of, it's pretty big changes happen in this episode, so to speak.
Yes.
For a lot of people, but
yes.
So yeah, this is a great part of like, hey, these are the things that have always made New York great and wonderful.
It is a great love letter to New York. Because like some of the things that they showed, even like some of the parts of Manhattan that they were showing in this episode, I was like, oh, I've been there. Oh, that's cool. Like there was like and they like, yeah, if you've been there and you've had a good experience there, it kind of is a little love letter because it does make New York seem like a great place, even though I wouldn't say it's a great place. It's cool though. Yeah, it's cool.
It is a great city. Perhaps,
I get why people want to live there, but I wouldn't want to live there.
I won't lie. I was there in March.
Yeah.
We took like the tenement tour. My mom and I did, and then we're just kind of in the neighborhood and getting a cab ride back. And I was like, I could do this. I could live here.
I get it. I get why people want to live there. Trust me. Like like when I was there, I was like, I get it. I totally get it. But like the point of like getting there, and then once you get there, it's like, oh wait, this is what I came here for. Oh shit.
Yeah.
A closet apartment for fucking $2,000 a month. Awesome.
I mean, it's bad here too.
It's not that bad though.
Yeah, it's not as bad.
It's
close, but maybe not as bad.
Yeah.
This is actually funny too. So I was there with my mom, and I got a notice from work that they're like, hey, when you come back, we're doing this interview with Seth Meyers. Will you be available to do it? And I was like, yeah. And I joked, like, oh, maybe I'll ask for a job. Haha. Just kidding. I left my job. Don't fire me. But she was like, oh, that would be.
He's just gonna find you, like, you're fired. For the idea.
She was like, that would be amazing. She's like, could you like just ask for one? I was like, not during the interview for my other job.
Yeah.
She's like,
That'd be a little
but like
tacky.
if you wanted to like connect, I was like, I mean, maybe through work I could like go through proper channels and see if the show is hiring. She's like, because you could totally move here and then it'd be a lot easier for me to visit because she lives in Virginia with my brother. And she's like, it's a lot, it's a train ride versus like a plane ride. And I was like, yeah, I don't think we're upending the whole system based on one 7-minute interview I get to do with him for work.
I mean, listen, that's the interview was just killed. Like you just
he and I got along great in the interview. Splendid. I made him laugh. I mean, good times.
Hey, maybe you should be like, hey,
maybe I should have been like, you hiring?
You hear all these like little risks that I have, I mean, I could write,
I was like, I'm pretty funny.
I could write some things, I mean, I have these sketch examples right here.
Yeah, I said this whole packet right here.
If you just want to check it out, I mean, I don't want to like put you out.
Packet together, but anyway, that's a discussion for a separate podcast. So let's get into the actual episode. Whom would you like to start with first?
Let's start with Samantha. Let's start with Samantha, yeah, because like juicy up top. Little meat in the middle. Yeah. We'll go to the end. Yes. So Samantha is head over heels for Richard. So much to the point that it's driving her crazy.
Literally crazy. That's I read that crazy. Too. I was like, love is making her crazy.
Crazy. Like to the point where she is like doubting everything that he says. She's like, why is he out so late? Things of that nature. And I was like, so basically he comes home, she's like sitting there on the bed. I guess she had been there for a while. Maybe I'm assuming they had some kind of designated time scheduled. And
or an understood time.
Or an understood time, maybe. And he showed up late. Prior to the end, I was kind of a little upset with Samantha about this. I'm like, like you work for this man. You know how busy he is. He owns like several hotels, and he's like a fucking nationwide business, or international business, right? So, sometimes his schedule is going to change. So if he says he can be home by 8, sometimes that ain't going to happen. And the fact that she was so upset by that was just really kind of a turnoff to me.
And it is for him.
And it is for him as well too. Because he's like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know who I am. You work for me. What are you talking about?
Because he's like, this is kind of like, you shouldn't be that shocked by this.
He's probably caught off guard, and I would be too if I was there. I'd be like, wait, hold on, when did you stop being understanding?
And I think, but it's because she totally has feels, because she has a gift for him,
right? And
it's this like painting artwork thing of like 3 hearts. I hate it. I think it's fucking hideous.
Listen, first of all, no. Like, you should have known that. I mean, here's the thing, right? This is the kind of the crazy thing about it, right? Is love shit is kind of throwing Samantha off her game, because like that wouldn't be no present that she would buy something ever, you know what I mean? And the fact that she is so head over heels for this dude got her buying fucking 3 flaming heart pictures.
It looks like an IKEA or Target artwork thing.
I was gonna say it looks like some shit that Charlotte was like, "Oh, you should buy him that." It looks like a Charlotte suggestion. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
I feel like she would buy that for a man. Like, that's definitely something I could see her coming home when she was married to Trey, like bringing that home to Trey, and be like, "Hey, I bought this for you. Thinking of you."
So, what do you call it? So the next, he's like, "Oh, great, I got it," and they kind of move on from there. So she's at brunch. And she's like, she's talking to Carrie. She's like, I don't know how you survived any of the love stuff with Big or Aiden. It's a real motherfucker. And Charlotte's like, did you say love?
She's so excited. She's so happy. But I mean, she should be too, because like, it's a good thing. It's like, it's
a good thing for your friend to be in love.
It's a good thing for your friend to be in love. Like, even if it kind of sucks for them at the moment, like, fucking at least you had a little bit of love. You know what I mean? So fuck it.
But she's like, I'm in love with Richard, and she's like, she does wonder like how it could go, where relationships can go. She's like totally, thrown off. She fully admits to being thrown off her game by it.
Yeah, she is.
And so then again, she's back in bed with Richard, and they're kissing. And she literally, like, out of the blue is like, if you want out, just say it. He's like, what? And because she's mad he hasn't hung the heart painting thing.
Well, before that, she was pissed off because what was he? She was bitching at him. Like she was like saying because like he didn't like want to have sex with her at the opera, even though they came home and had sex for 3 hours. She was like, what is that?
She's like, that's bullshit. It doesn't matter.
That's bullshit. I want to have sex at the opera. Like,
yeah.
He's just like, what's happening, man? What is going on?
And she's like, she does like a full 180. She's like, who are you having lunch with? You weren't where you said you were. Boom, boom, just like out of nowhere. And she's like, you know, you won't hang the heart thing. And you're saying, you know, he's like, I'm not sure it belongs there. She's like, that means I don't belong.
Right. She like immediately went to just, I mean, the opposite of, I mean, now, in a way, she's not entirely wrong, but like, just jumping to that conclusion so quickly when like there was no real evidence to support the fact at the time.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean? Your gut is usually never wrong. Usually. And she is vindicated at the end of the episode, but
that's true. That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna like completely discredit her because some shit came to light. Anyway.
And she's like, just, you know, admit you're cheating, we'll call it a day. And he's like, look, I think the hearts will look better in the den, not in here in the bedroom. The woman was a business associate. And he's like, if you keep acting like this, the things will be over. And she's like, do you believe me? And she's like, yes, I do. And then the next, it's like a jump cut to her on the phone with Carrie. She's like, I know he's cheating and I am going to catch him on his lunch break.
Immediately, yeah.
But like, I'm buying a wig so I can sneak around and find him.
Dude, that's the crazy part is like
it is a
like I don't want to call her crazy, you know what I'm saying? Especially with her being like the coolest character, but like bitch, you went crazy. She went and bought a designer wig so she can follow her man.
A Raquel Welch wig.
Yo, a designer wig, not just a bullshit ass. I'm gonna go to the costume store real quick, throw some shit on. No, like a designer wig that probably costs at least $500, if not more.
They are expensive. I don't. When I had to shave my head, I bought like head wrap things. In the little catalog, there were like Raquel Welch brand wigs, and I totally love this episode. I was laughing so hard, and I was like, I did not end up buying a wig because I just didn't want to, but I was like so cracking up about just the Raquel Welch wig. It's so funny,
dude. I was like, she went in, bro. And but to her credit, she did put on the wig and snooped around, and she did discover her man cheating on her.
Yeah, and Carrie asks, like, you know, if you love him, isn't there a chance he loves her too? But then we don't really get an answer because we get into a shoe thing, which I do want to bring up later, but we'll move on. But Samantha catches him, and what a bummer for Samantha. I feel bad.
Yeah, I didn't feel bad because I wanted her to just be like maybe like a little bit paranoid, but then like not him being, you know, her be wrong, you know, just because of the love thing. But the fact that she was right kind of sucks, man, for her, because, you know, she was ready to give it all to this dude.
Yeah,
and, you know, that wasn't enough. But part of me also feels like, for lack of better words, she kind of knew what it was when she signed up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like. Here's where he fucked up, because he fucked it up, right?
Yeah.
He said in the was it like 2 episodes ago, or was it last episode? One of the two. He was the one that brought up the monogamy thing and said just us. Like he wanted.
Yes, he is the one. Yeah,
but he was the one that did it. So
recently,
because she was not excited about it, but she was coming to terms with the fact that he was gonna be sleeping with other women. She, like I said, she didn't like it, but she was willing to be okay with it, to be with him. And then he said, oh, let's be monogamous. So there he fucked up, because I think when he said that to her, he truly meant it in his mind. But I think also a part of him, he knew that he could never really be faithful to somebody. Like, you know what I mean? And to be honest, he should have just, instead of, in a way, he kind of gaslit her this episode. You know what I mean? And instead of doing that, he should have just been like, yo, I know I said that we wanted to be exclusive, but like, that's not the life I want to live. This is how I feel. and he should have been willing to take that L. And so if he had told her the truth and she was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this, he should have been okay with that.
And he has the gall to, with the other woman's fucking spread eagle in front of him, be like, hey,
all up in there, bro.
It's
his
just
was
sex.
Still glistening when he looked up.
Oh,
it was. He had a little shot on there. He was getting in there, bro. Real. He was,
and he's like, "It's just sex, and I love you." And like, I don't know how you say that to somebody with, with.
Here's the thing.
Another person's pretty fair, though.
To be fair, I kind of agree with that. Because I get you. Listen, sex is different for men, right? Like we don't really.
And it's generally for Samantha, she approaches it the same way,
right? You know what I mean? Like like for most men, like we can have sex with fucking. You can like love a person and then still have sex with other women, and those women mean nothing, and this one woman means something. It doesn't seem like that.
It's still okay.
No, but that's the problem, right? Is at the end of the day, he's the one that said, let's be exclusive. So if you put those, if you say that, you got to be a man of your word. And then he clearly wasn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to the point where he was sneaking around and like that's the part I don't condone, because if you're going to be that dude, then you got to be the dude. You can't sit there and say, we're going to be monogamous and then like go behind somebody's back. You know what I mean? Like if you'd just been honest with her and let the chips fall where they may, hey, listen, that's life. That's how you do it.
And then Samantha dramatically smashes the ugly heart painting and says, there, now both our hearts are broken. And I was like, oh no, not the heart painting. It's so weird. It's just so like, it doesn't feel like her character taste. I don't know. It's just like, well, that's very basic looking. But she's not basic.
But that is the thing, right? I think that comes with the territory of her not being in a place that she is not familiar with. She's not, she doesn't know how to be in love. She has never, I mean, the last time there was even a prospect of love was when she was with Small Dick Dude, right? So, and that was what, 3 seasons ago? Or 2, I guess 2 now, because it was like the end of season 1 and the beginning of season 2.
Sorry, on video I'm nodding, but I'm also blowing my nose. So for audio, I muted myself, but I was agreeing. I have a cold.
Everybody's just listening. He's gonna do like, is he just talking to himself?
He's just talking to the air. No.
Listen, don't put it past me. Your boy can have a full-on conversation by itself. Let me tell you.
I could too. If you muted yourself, I'd keep going.
Yeah. Listen, if Elizabeth was ever gone, I could do this podcast. Just me talking to me.
Same.
We should do it like a single episode,
one man or woman show.
Yeah. Just see how we roll.
A solo excursion.
It would be kind of cool.
Maybe it's interesting thought experiment.
It should be the same episode too. Then we can see like
compare and contrast.
Whose takes were different and things of that nature.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting. Give that maybe do that for the Patreon. People can go and watch.
So that's Samantha. Bummer.
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel bad for her. But I think a lot of it too, man. What sucks about this relationship for her is because they were very similar. And so I think even I think this was kind of an attempt for him to get out, because I think this relationship was scaring him too. Like, when was the last time he was probably monogamous? When he was like married?
Yeah.
That was probably it.
Was he ever married? Maybe.
I think he was, right?
Yeah.
I think he was married once and got divorced, and that's, he's been the Playboy hotel guy since then. So, which I'm surprised, like, because Biggs, everybody knows that they were trying to say that he's like kind of you was telling me that he was the Trump figure, but I kind of feel like Richard's kind of the Trump figure.
Yeah, way back in the first episode, they call Big, like, they're like, he's Donald Trump but better looking, and I was like, oh my god.
I mean, not wrong. He is better looking.
Miles better. And I don't even like Big. Big's not even like close to my type, and I'm like, no, objectively, just scientifically,
right. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, no, this guy Richard seems like more of the Trump figure than anything. I feel like if this was somebody
with the hotels and everything,
hotels and everything, probably the same. Unfortunately, there were probably women out there he was just bagging and gagging out there. Listen.
Probably murdered.
Probably had his ex-wife right now. That's all I'm saying. So if they would fuck him right now, they definitely would have fucked him 10, 20, 30 years ago. That's all I'm saying.
Probably had his ex-wife murdered by having her pushed down a flight of stairs. Rest in peace, Ivana.
Rest in peace. You said rest
I was trying to say R.I.P. But then I started to say the
no, that's the new way. I'm saying it that way forever.
Rest I.P.
Rest I.P. Rest I.P. Wait, what does that mean? You know what it means.
You know. Anyway. So Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlotte is volunteering at the Museum of Modern Art, giving docent tours, living her best life. Even though she's got money. Who cares? She's fine.
Right. Yeah, she's doing just fine.
She's there.
That's just giving her a reason to get out of the house every day. And
there's nothing wrong with that. Plenty of people do
it. No, hell no. Listen.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not like she scammed some dude out of her money. She was in a marriage. It didn't work out. She got her settlement. Hey, that's the law.
And some people do not live to work. They work to live, as in they have their job or whatever it is. And they do that. And that's it. And then they go do whatever it is they prefer, fishing, art tours, whatever.
Right.
And that's all the job is, funding.
Yeah.
I would love to know what that life is like, because I'm way too entwined with my work. But
yeah, I know what
such
you
is
mean.
life.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But just she's there, and a guy says he admits, she's like, "Oh, were you here last week?" And he was. And then he asks her on a date, and she's like, "I don't know if I'm ready to date yet. I just got separated, divorced." And he's like, "I did too." And then mid-tour, who should she see darken the hallways of that art exhibit but Trey and his mother, Bunny McDougal.
The McDougals.
By the way,
that's the real couple of this fucking show. That's the real couple. That's the power couple in this show right there. Bunny and Trey.
Sorry, I'm just making sure my cat's not shredding my leather chair. Okay, we're good.
They will do that.
Oh my god. So and of course when we first enter the scene with Charlotte, she's talking about this beautiful Monet painting and how much she loves it. It's like her favorite. And of course, as Trey and Bunny are coming around, Bunny's like, "I detest Monet." Because of course she would hate what Charlotte loves.
Of course. Makes all the sense. Yeah. Even though they're like not even in each other's lives.
Yeah, and they haven't seen Charlotte.
Different. Yeah, they that's right.
Clear.
Yeah, they haven't seen her.
They haven't seen Charlotte.
They didn't. They
didn't bump into each other.
No.
But Charlotte like rushes her tour along. She's like, "And let's keep on moving on to the expression."
Yeah, she takes out about that whole section. I'm thinking for how they implied it, she like missed a whole bunch of paintings that she was supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, I'd be super mad. I'd be like, "What the hell?"
Right. No, I paid their money. I
paid for this tour.
You gotta figure it out. Get another girl. If you don't know what you're talking about, get the girl that knows the script.
Yeah. And then but while she's doing that, she agrees to dinner with the guy.
Yes.
What
was his name?
I actually don't think they dropped his name.
No, they did.
If
she says it at dinner.
Oof, did not stick out to me.
I want to say Eric.
I said Dave in my head.
Let's do it.
We'll call him Eric Dave.
ED? No, don't call him ED.
No, it's all run together one word. There's no period. It's not abbreviation. It's Eric Dave. Deverick.
Still ED.
Derek splits the difference.
Derek, okay.
That's not what he was.
I better look it up. We'll keep talking. I'm just gonna look it up as we talk, so we don't.
Well, yes.
In silence as I'm looking it up.
So Charlotte goes on the date with him, and they're both talking about their exes and divorces, and he's like, how hard it is to see things through love. It's like a fog. Yes. And she's like, totally agrees. Incidentally, not really anything. I really like Charlotte's dress in this scene. It's very pretty. It's this like red and white floral design, and she just looks really nice.
She does. Yeah, it was like a lot of the things that they were saying, like, it does fog your shit up, man. Like, yeah. Because I mean, I think of some of the last relationships I had, not the last one, but like a lot of relationships I had in the past, and we all have, because we were in love with said person, we dismissed a lot of red flags and stayed longer than we should have.
Oh,
and some of them are major red flags, and we were just like, nah. But they cute though.
The previous.
It's always that they cute. They're hot though, so we'll let it go.
Previous work crush, I clung to that so much fucking longer than I should have. When he was like doing a fucking one-man parade of red flags, baton twirling down the street.
We do it all the time.
And then I laughed though, because people have made fun of me. So I love Gerard Butler. Obviously I don't know him, but I love Gerard Butler, as like a Hollywood crush, right?
For sure.
And people always make fun of him though, because he really
Eric.
Okay, you were right. Good ears.
I knew it was something. I was like, I know he had a name. I know she said it during the dinner. He was, because there's no character that's gone out on a date with any of these women on this show that didn't get a name. That would be hilarious. That would be fantastic if they never. It was just like guy on date.
I mean, happens to women in shows all the time. So why not flip the script, huh?
That is true.
But yeah, but anyway, everyone makes fun of Gerard Butler because he talks out the side of his mouth. It is something I have never noticed, and someone did actually say like, "Oh, you got love blinders on for that? You just never paid attention." I was like, "I guess it's never bothered me."
But sometimes it just fits with some people. Like Stallone has gotten away with it for 50 years in Hollywood, and honestly, I know he does it, but it doesn't bother me. I'm not like, like people make fun of it and shit like that. But anytime I've ever seen him in a movie, I've never been like, well, that talking out of the side of the mouth never really distracted me. It was like always just kind of his thing. You know what I mean? You know what does upset me though? Jean-Claude Van Damme. That motherfucker has been in the States for goddamn 50 years and he still has a thick French accent. How, sir? How is your accent still so thick, sir? It doesn't make any sense. You live in America. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't have it at all.
Spike English.
But it should be like a little bit blended out.
Well, has he lived here full time? Because if he goes back to
he lives in
Russell,
LA.
First of all, he's from Belgium.
Yeah.
And he should have it's
or
probably,
Dutch. Is it Dutch?
No, he's the muscles from Brussels, Belgium. Yeah.
Belgium. Yeah. So, but it's still like a French accent, right?
It's French adjacent. Yeah. It's
because they speak French in Brussels, right?
Yeah, but don't tell France that. It is not our accent.
It kind of is, though.
I still can't believe someone's like, "You do a good French accent." I was like, "No, I do a probably pretty insulting French accent."
It's fine. They do insulting American acccents. And they always do. Every person in Europe, when they do American accent, they always do a Southern accent. It's like, there's other people, there's other accents in America. Not everybody sounds like this,
Yeah.
That's like everybody's immediate. And that's the thing too. You see it in movies, but it's in real life too. Every time I've been to Europe, I'm like, meet somebody from another place and they find out you're American and they try to do their American accent and it's always fucking Southern, which doesn't help with me because I'm from the South. So when they're doing it, I'm like, first of all, I know I sound like that, but like not everybody sounds like this. Okay, this is different.
Technically, well, it's arbitrary if you think about it because people have said like, "Oh, I don't have an accent." It's like, well, you do. There's a flat Midwest accent where there's like things aren't over exaggerated one way or the other, and that's what they like from newscasters a lot.
Yeah.
And when I'm not super congested like I am right now, I kind of have it, but I know I get pretty nasal, which is a Midwest like Michigan thing. But anyone who's you meet in America who's like, "No, I don't have an accent." It's like, you do. You just have a regional accent from wherever you're from.
Yeah, you just don't know that you have it. I thought the same thing when I was first out of Texas. I was like, because people told me, like, "You don't sound like you're from Texas." Then I got my acting teacher. She was like, "Oh, you're Southern." As soon as I say one word, she was like, "Texas, Dallas." I was like, "Fuck, how do you know?"
Yeah. But anyway, so Charlotte gets back from her date with Eric to her apartment. Yes. And he is like blown away by her apartment.
She was like thinking about she brought him home, which I was like, man, Charlotte bringing home her first date, because she brought him home to get some ass. And he kind of talked himself out of that, didn't he? He talked himself right out of that, yeah, because he was like so taken back by how big her apartment was and shit like that.
He just kept saying, "Wow." He's like, you're rich. Oh my God. Oh, and he's like insulted he can't find a woman who's compatible with him, like financially. And I was like, buddy, you got the honey pot.
He was pissed that she was rich.
He was so mad she was
got
rich.
Money? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, how dare you?
And she's like, just sort of, she doesn't really say anything. She's just like, well, I guess I'll just show you out. And then she very politely leads him right back out of the apartment.
And he was still, I don't even think he noticed that he wasn't about to get none that night. He was just still, because even when she was closing the door, he was just blown away.
Like, wow, look at this place. Look at this place. Yeah.
I mean, the crazy thing was he talked himself out of getting laid with compliments, if you really think about it. Because he wasn't, it wasn't like he was shitting on the place. He wasn't like, oh, your decor was trash or nothing like that. You know what I mean? He's like,
this apartment's amazing.
Yeah, he's like, this apartment's amazing. Look how the high your ceilings are, all these good things. So you saying good things, but.
Well, it was going well until he was like, of course I'd find like a rich woman.
Yeah, that's where I think that's where she got turned off. But he was just like, oh, you're rich? Like in a upsetting way.
Do you know how happy you should be to find a rich person? I'm trying to bag me a rich one, dude. Just kidding.
Listen, we all are.
I need a sugar daddy. But not in the creepy way. I just want someone to like.
That's all you got in this city.
Buy some food for me occasionally.
That's all you got in this city. You get the creepy guy, or you get the weird guy.
Yeah,
he might kill you in your sleep.
Oh well, back to the drawing board.
Yeah. So that's it for.
Charlotte's like main involvement and stuff.
Yep.
So who do you want to do next? You want to do Miranda or Carrie?
Let's go ahead and do Miranda because hers is short too.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to
the big finale.
God damn it. Why do we always end with her?
It's because she's technically sort of the main character.
Yeah, that's true.
So
she's not technically, she is, right? You know what I mean? Everything we pretty much follow, it has to do with her and her interactions.
Yeah.
Although I do like how in the last, I want to say 4, maybe 5 episodes, every time they're doing a brunch scene, they kind of just ignore her. She tries to chime in with shit. They're just like, cool. Anyway, we're back to real life. We don't live in this bitch's fucking fantasy world.
The whole Vogue thing. She was like, what am I doing? And they're like, anyway.
Yeah, she kept making little Vogue puns and we're like, cool.
Everyone's
anyway, like, we get it. You have to do work. I know that sucks for you.
So really the bulk of it is Miranda's at the brunch scene, which we'll get to because it unfortunately does revolve mostly around Carrie this time, actually.
Yeah.
But really the first big Miranda scene is she and Steve are putting together a crib and arguing, of course, because no human has ever, no couple, they're not even a couple, but no one has ever survived putting together furniture from anywhere without being like, this stupid piece of fucking shit.
I did it once, and here's how I was able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was I put together a bookshelf, an IKEA bookshelf for an ex-girlfriend, but I told her, I was like, we can do it together, but you can't tell me shit. Like just hand me. I was like, the way we
hand me that.
Basically, I was like, give me the instructions, hand me the items I need. This way we can do it together. If you start trying to do things or like tell me where to put it, no, I don't need you to read the instructions. I can read the instructions. We're going to end up arguing. And it worked. We didn't end up arguing. I was like, hey, I need this part. She handed me that part, put it together. Boom.
Ground rules from the jump.
That's the only way to get through it. It's like one person is in charge of like the assembly and the instructions. The other person is like,
here's the Allen wrench.
Here
are the things.
Yes. You have to be the assistant because if you got 2 people trying to run the shit, you're gonna fuck it up.
Yep. Also, God bless TaskRabbit there who put together the used bed I bought. It was just 2 dudes. They did not argue. They were just doing their thing because they were getting paid, and it was the best money I've spent in like so long.
Yep.
And then I did laugh, so I got a Wayfair dresser that arrived right before I had to go deal with my mom's stuff. And my uncle and stuff and family were keeping an eye on my cat, and my uncle was like, do you want me to assemble one of the dressers? He's like, I kind of like doing it. Like, it was just like a Home Depot dad moment, like where he's like, I just really want to put together furniture. And I know my dad would have been the same way if he'd been like around. Yeah, he just put on like sports and quietly. I think alone in my apartment just put together a dresser for me. Dude, just honestly, like quiet, just zenning out.
The last time I put together a piece of furniture was my bed, and man, it is. It's kind of like a guy's meditation. You know, you want to like sit down and actually meditate.
Yeah.
But it's something like ask us to build some shit. That's our meditation. It may take us an hour, it may take us 2 hours, it may take us all day, but it's good for us. Trust me.
So they're putting the crib together, and but they do kind of get through it, and they're like laughing and joking. They're talking about baby names, and Miranda's like, I like Danny. Mm-hmm. And Steve is like, I kind of like Paul. It's like a family name, like his dad and grandpa were Paul. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of backs down, and he's like, hey Danny, let's go play ball. And he's like, I like the way it sounds. And then he almost starts crying.
How you gonna lie? Steve was cute this episode. He kept making me laugh how emotional she get. And the funny thing that made it even more funny was how Miranda was responding to it. Just like, don't cry. Stop it.
I won't have it.
She was not having it. She was like, no, you will not. No emotions here, sir.
It's so funny. It's so great. And like, and later she's with Carrie, and they're talking about other stuff, but then she's getting like the big kicks and stuff that kind of come right before you give birth. Yeah. For some people, and she asks Carrie, she's like, will you be in the room with me? Because Steve is too emotional, and I just need someone normal.
See, I disagree with that. As emotional as Steve can be, I think Carrie's definitely way more emotional.
Well, not for this kind of
thing. Not this episode, no. But in general.
I don't think for babies. I think she was pretty good for Miranda during Miranda's mom's funeral.
She was.
So like, I think Carrie is emotional, but it does seem like if she's really tasked with it, she can fucking pull it together for another person.
I'll give her that.
But you gotta be real direct with her,
right?
And up front and be like, I need you
to have it together. You can't, like, I need you to have it together.
And she will hop to it. She'll be like, all right, I'm on your team. You got it.
For Miranda.
For Miranda only so far.
Yeah, I don't know if she's been that way with anybody else so far.
Certainly not Aiden. And I hate to think how she'd handle anything for poor Aiden.
Oh boy.
He's probably like, the door. Oh, thank God he never had a family crisis during that time, because she'd be like, why are you ignoring me?
She would.
He'd be like, my father died. She'd be like,
you haven't called all day.
Like,
I'm dealing with a funeral. I'm like, organizing a funeral.
He could be like, my father died in my arms, Carrie. And she'd be like,
you couldn't call.
Why wasn't I in your arms?
Right. Yeah. Why didn't you call me? I could have been there for you. Like, no, that's not how.
You're shutting me out, Aiden.
Right.
You fucking crazy broad. God damn it.
But she did have it together this episode. I will give that. And I'm glad you brought up the funeral thing, because I forgot about that. She did have it together and did the right thing to accommodate.
So Carrie rushes from her date, which we'll get to.
Yes.
For Miranda when she goes into labor. Her water hasn't broken though. And and then it breaks on Carrie's really fancy, expensive shoes.
Oh, I felt bad for her for that, because she was saying, that she was worried about it raining and stuff like that. She's like, water's gonna ruin this. And like that's a different kind of water. You ain't getting that out.
You ain't getting those shoes ain't
done, baby. Them shoes are done.
Shoes are done. R.I.P.
Like in pregnancy water, that's a different kind of water, baby.
Rest I.P. those Christian.
Rest I.P. And that's right. They were Louis
Red bottoms. No dice. So it's over.
Yeah, try to take those back to the store. I got prenatal water on my.
But only on one of them. I feel like it only hit 1 foot for some reason. Maybe.
Yeah, but but here's the thing.
They're pairs.
It hit 1 foot, and then it's splat. You gotta think about the splash factor. So they're ruined. They're gone. Ain't no saving one. And also too, like you said, they're a pair. So if one is ruined,
they're ruined.
They're ruined. Period.
So the labor goes into the next day. Steve is down at the business end of things. I'm surprised Miranda allowed that, but whatever.
Right.
And she's pushing.
It's not like he ain't seen it before.
That's true. That's true. It's not a surprise to him.
He saw it. That's kind of how they got there in the first
place.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not like she's showing him something new.
and she's trying to push, and there's this super chipper nurse who's like, oh my God, you can do it, push. And Miranda looks at Carrie, and Carrie's like, nurse? None of that.
Yeah, because she asked her, she was like, yeah, make sure there's nobody cheerleading around. I don't want nobody to do it, push harder. I don't want anybody cheering me on. And that's exactly what that nurse is doing. She's like,
it's so fun. It's so funny. And and the nurse keeps doing it, and Carrie keeps shutting it down, and then Miranda successfully gives birth. Baby boy is healthy, and he's doing great. And Steve hands Miranda the baby, and Carrie's there, and Miranda is like kind of finally amazed and like happy to hold him, and it's a really sweet moment. And Steve calls him Danny, and Miranda it's like, I think I want to call him Brady, which is Steve's last name. So and then he has Miranda's last name, so it's both their last names. His full name, Brady Hobbs.
Right.
Which is nice of Miranda to do. Like,
yes. Because I was gonna wonder about that. I was like, man, that's kind of, because they were talking about his name, and she said Danny, he said Paul, but they kept saying Hobbs. I was like, wait, she really not gonna give that baby the father's last name? Because I could understand, and here's why, and the only why I was a little bit against it, you know what I mean, is because Steve is actually there. I can understand if Steve just like, if she told him that she was pregnant, he said he wanted nothing to do with it, and that was the last time we saw Steve. But clearly he's invested. He's clearly happy.
Yeah, and he's very willing to co-parent.
Yeah, like he's trying to be a father and stuff like that. So I was kind of upset that she wasn't going to give the baby his last name. But
also, if she's going to be the primary like caregiver and like custody thing, it's so much easier if they have the same last name for like school stuff and doctor's offices and all the things that, whether we like it or not, women tend to have to deal with more for kids, even as involved as dads are and can be.
Yeah, that's true. I can accept that. You're right. Yeah, that's true, because registering schools like that.
Because then she's got to say, well, my last name's Hobbs, but his is Brady because blah, blah, blah,
Right.
You just got to go through that over and over. Or if like there's an emergency and they don't think to look for Hobbs and they look for
Brady instead. Yeah, and that's yeah. Imagine that, like fucking the kid is hurt or some shit like that, and calling that kid Steve up. Like to do, but he ain't really equipped.
I don't think he's getting a crisis.
Yeah, no, not at all. I take it back. I take it back. I think she was right for doing that.
But and then it's very sweet though, because when she says, let's call him Brady Hobbs, Steve starts to cry, and Carrie just looks at him and shakes her head.
Like, don't you dare. Like, but I mean, in that moment, okay, so here's the weird thing, right? Because I mean, and I don't know, because I've never been a woman that's been pregnant or giving birth or anything like that. But the fact that she still seemed like the same Miranda before, that just like is not really into the kid. You know what I mean? It kind of worries me for the kid, because at least once the kid was born, you would think she would be like, my baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she is a little. It's just, I think
not enough. But not enough.
I think she's just still very much herself.
Yeah.
And some people aren't criers though.
Not so much crying, but she just didn't.
I wouldn't know. I cry at the drop of a fucking hat. So.
Well, no, it's not that she didn't cry. I'm not worried about that. It's not that she didn't cry, but she just didn't seem. Like most people when they have a baby, they're like, as soon as the baby's out, they're like, clean it off, put it in my arms. I need to hold it right now. She just kind of like, Steve brought it over, and she was kind of like, all right, I guess I'll just hold this baby or whatever.
Yeah.
She didn't. She doesn't seem excited.
She gets more attached. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see. I guess she's one of those people that she gotta take a while. I get it. That's fine. I'm not judging. I'm just saying it just seems weird.
And Brady does have red hair though, which I think is cute. You can't really tell in this, but when Carrie leaves,
I was gonna say why is the I'm so stupid, bro. I forgot. I was watching the episode. I was like, well, why does the baby have red hair? And I was like, wait, for red. I was thinking about Steve. I was like, Steve doesn't have red hair.
Although it's no guarantee.
Like a red beard or like that,
My mom is a redhead, but my dad has really dark hair, and I kind of came out, somewhere in the middle. Not really red though. Yeah. Although I was getting my hair cut, and the lady found like one red hair, and she's like, oh, I was like, oh yeah, my redhead. I thought it was funny that there was just like one solo red hair somewhere on my
Just enough to let her know, like, hey,
just enough.
You came from me, got it.
But I carry redheaded baby genes obviously with me.
Their first kid is probably gonna have
probably gonna have red hair, especially if I marry and have a baby with somebody who is also like carrying that kind of stuff. What do you call it? My genetics is so crazy. I think I've brought this up before. I'll just do it real fast though again. So with my mom, her and her sister, my mom's the oldest, so it's her and the next sister, redheads. Next middle kid is a boy. He's got like that really dark, almost black hair. Same thing with my next aunt. And the last one has like lighter brown hair, like just this full spectrum of hair colors. And my grandpa used to call them the milkman's kids. Because they all had different hair colors.
That's fucked up.
It's so fucked up, but it's funny.
That's fucked up.
That's funny. What do you call it? So yeah, so this is a nice like episode.
Yeah, and it's good, and it's kind of cool too. I still feel bad for Charlotte, having to deal with all this because forever, at least until she has her own kids, it's just gonna be kind of a reminder of what she didn't get with Trey.
Yeah, but I think
she's been supportive and everything.
Yeah, and I think she'll kind of always struggle with it, but she's there at the hospital. She's just in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Like, and she's still happy and excited that there's a baby.
She's very excited that there's just a baby in the group.
I still agree with Aiden. I think Miranda should just give Charlotte the baby and call it a day.
I forgot he said that.
He's not wrong.
He's not though. I mean,
it really would solve.
If you to go back to what I was saying earlier about Miranda, she doesn't seem that excited about it. So it's like, if you ain't that excited, clearly Charlotte is.
Charlotte would happily raise that kid and let you check in on him.
Turn the last baby's name could be York and call it a day, bro.
Yeah.
Adopt that baby right there, sight unseen. She'd say yes.
Yeah. Here, take him.
Yeah, you can go back to your life as a lawyer, and Steve could be co-parenting with. That would be actually. No, I can see that. I was gonna say.
I don't see it. Because I think Charlotte is a little too controlling. I don't think she'd let Steve make any choices.
Yeah, but that would be okay.
But Miranda wouldn't either. So
here's the thing. The difference would be, is like, she'd be in control, but she'd be sweet about it. Not like Miranda, who's just like, "Fuck you, I'm doing it my way." Like, at least Charlotte would be sweet about it, and she wouldn't. I think I can see that. I can see that working.
Yeah, because like Charlotte could be like, "Oh, I want to dress him in blue." And Steve would be like, "Can we dress him in green?" And Charlotte would be like, "Well, blue is this," and the
right,
and like win him over. And Miranda would be like, "Fuck you, he's wearing blue."
Right, exactly.
Like, why?
Also, too, I think Steve is he's just romantic enough to keep Charlotte interested.
Happy?
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he would do some random, like, have like a random picnic, or have bring home a random meal that she likes, shit like that, whatever.
Yeah.
So. I can see that happen. Man, missed opportunity. Sex in the City.
Well, if worry not for Charlotte, good things will come to her eventually.
True.
All right. So on to Carrie.
So this bitch starts out the episode all fucked up she's at, right, it's fall. It's the wind's blowing, it's crisp air, it's chilly. She gets a little blanket. All of a sudden she's feeling lonely. And the first person she calls is who? Big. Which, man, just, every time I try to be
understanding,
just a little bit, just like, oh man, Carrie's kind of improving. She goes back to this, and it's like, dude, how? I mean, I get it, but I also don't get it. It's like, you just, like, because I'm assuming, right, this has only been a few months since her and Aiden have broken up, right?
Yeah, so she broke up with Aiden for good 2 episodes ago.
Right.
And Miranda is now 9 months pregnant. Yeah, so we'll say like 2 or 3 months.
Right, because she was like, what, 6 at the time, give or take?
Somewhere
6, maybe a 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it, you're lonely and stuff like that, but why would you go back to your most toxic ex? And that's the things I don't get. It's like, everybody around her is saying that this dude is bad for her, and she just won't. Like, it's like a force field of stupidity. She just won't listen, and
can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah. So she calls him up and asks if she can come over, and he's like,
just
as
friends, but she's like
flirty as
all
okay. because I wrote that down, right?
Yeah.
Where was that?
She's like, it's just to keep each other company.
Right. It's just to keep each other company. Okay. I got a question. As a woman, why do y'all say bullshit like that? Well, you know, like, here's the thing. I know, okay, listen. 9 times out of 10, as far as my experience, when a woman says that shit, oh, we're just gonna hang out, or we're just doing this, blah, 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 you know you want to have sex. Like, you're lying to yourself. You know that, like, in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, you may not know for sure you want to, but it's in the back of your mind. Like, the idea of sex happening is there. Why do you guys do that to yourselves? Like why do you, like, you're literally cock-blocking yourselves in your own brain, knowing you just want to have sex, and like,
I'm gonna blame society and be like, we can't appear to be that available, all that crap that they ingrained for so long, that like we're very slowly.
I can understand that with somebody that you are, like, somebody new in your life, but this is a familiarity. Like, this is somebody that she's clearly comfortable with, clearly has strong feelings for, because she kept him around through her entire relationship with dating. So, like, why would you say that to this dude?
I don't know.
Because, like, that, to me, that doesn't make any, because it's my thing too, right? If you feeling like that, right? If you're saying, oh, we're only going to keep each other company, like, if you don't trust yourself around this person, why are you going over in the first place?
I don't know. I guess she never learned the don't put your hand on a hot stove lesson. Like, it just kept happening.
That's my thing, right? It's like, because, like, okay, not that he's expecting sex, like, he didn't hint towards sex or anything like that. He never said it, but, like, you know how you are around this person. So if you are saying to yourself that you don't want to have sex with this person, why would you even put yourself in a situation? You're going to his place alone, just you and him, at who knows what time of night. Like, that's a booty call, baby. Stay home.
Yeah. I mean, for Christ's sake, she shows up holding the pizza going, get it while it's hot. Like,
let me tell you something. You show up to my place anytime after midnight with pizza, we fucking. I'm sorry, like that. Yeah. And if you ain't come for that, leave the pizza at the door and walk home. Like that.
Well, he calls her out. He's like, I thought this was just a company visit. Like, what the fuck? It's his little way of being like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
You know? Right. But he's played just as many games. So
sure.
But she gets inside, and that's when she notices, gee, it looks an awful lot like he's packed up to move.
That's what this is the stuff that I kind of like about this dude, because, like, he's kind of an asshole, but he's also a big idiot. It's like, like, you weren't gonna tell this, you would let this girl come over. You didn't even tell her that you're moving. Like, you thought she was just gonna walk in and not notice? Boxes everywhere, your furniture gone.
Yeah,
you big idiot.
You fucking dumbass. And like, once again,
she wasn't gonna say nothing about it. She was just gonna let it go. I was just gonna eat some pizza, drink some wine, listen to some records, and she was gonna go home. Like that.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Like, what the fuck? And excuse me. Mm-hmm. So he reveals, he's like, I bought a vineyard and he's gonna move to California. And she's like, we're just gonna like move and not tell me? He's like,
I was gonna call.
He's like, I'm not big on goodbyes. And she's like, well, you can't. But then she gets all gushy. She's like, you can't leave New York. You're like the Chrysler Building. No, don't you insult the Chrysler Building with this guy.
How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
And then we get one of the worst,
like that.
One of the worst puns in history in this show is she's like, why are you moving? He says, I'm tired. And she goes, well, you take a nap, but you don't move to Napa. And I wrote, boo.
I wish there was just like a track right there. It was like, boo, boo. A whole crowd just boo. Yeah, that was awful,
ridiculous.
Hated it.
So then they are going. He still has his like records and record player out, and she's teasing him about being old, and they're drinking wine and stuff. And she's like, "You can't just leave town. We gotta do like a proper like goodbye night." On the town for me in New York, not for us as a thing. But then anyway, he pulls out the Henry Mancini record that has Moon River on it, which is a nod to Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is one of the New York movies. Despite the terrible Mickey Rooney part, we won't talk about the really bad.
Yeah, listen. It was a different time. Not saying it's okay, but
Yeah, I do, and I struggle with things. I do enjoy Breakfast at Tiffany's a lot. It is like a very quintessential like New York movie.
Yeah,
you know, the look and the vibe and the whole thing. It is New York, you know, to a T. So you just gotta kind of roll with that, but but that's like the New York that like my grandma liked, my mom likes. I always joke that my mom preferred the 70s cocaine New York to present day New York. If you asked her, she'd back me up. It's 100% true. She likes dirty New York. But anyway, the Breakfast at Tiffany's Moon River song gets her dancing. Although, funnily enough, I don't think my mom likes Moon River. I think she thinks it's really corny and is like not into it. It's hit or miss as far as how people feel about it. I think Moon River and New York is like a thing if it's too like forced. There's other New York songs and music, but anyway, the music gets big and Carrie dancing, but then the record starts to skip and it kind of breaks her out of his spell again.
Right.
And she's like, I'll see you Sunday for our big farewell date and dinner. And then
now let me ask you this. As a woman, okay, let's say you go into a dude's house at a late night, right? And like, you know, in the back of your mind, you could have sex, but you're like not sure if you do have sex, right? Then like you go and hang out for presumably a couple hours or whatever, and then you decide like you don't want to have sex and you go home. Are you in the back of your mind disappointed, or are you like kind of feeling good that you didn't do it?
I think it really just depends on the situation. I think in this situation, Carrie feels good about having not done it, because I truly mean like the record skipping totally broke her out of the spell.
It did,
they were
about to kiss,
doing the twist and shit, and getting close, and if she was gonna full on fall under that like whatever sway he's got over her, you know. And I think it depends on the situation, like, because I feel like there's a time where I have been disappointed, but then maybe sort of in hindsight it was like for the best. I feel like if you don't ever get out of the spell of the situation, then you're like happy you did it, no big deal, and you just and then you deal. And if you are you're not disappointed, but like maybe you have to deal with ramifications of it after the fact, good or bad. But I feel like if you get kind of broken out of it, you usually don't regret it too much, because you're like, if I got broken out of it, that means I didn't really think it was the best idea.
Gotcha.
If I let myself get stopped and derailed so much, you know?
Right. I see what you're saying. Okay.
It's like if the record had skipped, but if they fixed it and they just got right back to it, she was still definitely like, yeah, let's do this. But I think she like knew she didn't want to, or maybe not want, maybe shouldn't. She probably wanted to, but maybe knew she should not have, because that's what she asked the next day. Is she's at brunch and she's like, all right, going out of business sex, he's moving to California, should I do it? And Miranda's like, wear a condom.
Well, she actually had some really great advice, or what she said to a comic, because you know she's going around the table asking everybody's opinion. And of course Samantha's like, yeah, do it, get over it, you know, have fun. You know, of course Charlotte's like, no, like that's your ex and it's too messy. And Miranda's saying basically the same thing. But what she actually said was, let me make sure, where it says, oh, she's like, you don't have enough distance to like have like casual sex with this dude and then have him leave, which I 100%, because you tell that was some real shit, because Carrie tried to like brush it off, but she couldn't. Like that actually affected her. But when she said it, because she's not wrong, you know what I mean? Like you've kept this guy around doing it like a year-long relationship with Aiden. Like this guy was always around to the point where, you know, a part of probably why y'all broke up is because you never really let this dude go. You know, and so clearly there's not enough distance for you to just have casual sex with a guy like that. That ain't it. Also, too, like you didn't have casual sex with him when you cheated on Aiden. Like that was like a relationship. That was a full-on affair that you both had. So,
and it's I love all of the jokes Miranda keeps talking about, like, wear a condom, for Christ's sake, wear a condom, because otherwise you're gonna
I know. She goes, "You had sex with Steve." She's like, "Yeah, look at me, bitch." Wow, that was the weakest point you could have brought up. Like, I had sex with my ex. And look what happened. Do you want the same thing?
And Charlotte along the lines of Miranda is like, is this gonna pull you back into that big vortex? And she's like, no. And that's I think that's when Miranda's like, no, you don't have enough distance. And Carrie insists, she's like, I've changed. It's not like it was 2 years ago. I do feel safe around him. He's a great man in my life, and he's leaving. And it's like, he's not a great man in your life because he cheated. He cheated on his wife with you.
Right.
He engaged in a full-on fucking affair that ruined 2 other people's lives with you. Right. Slut.
Yeah. And also too, like, he ruined he actually technically ruined 3 relationships. He ruined his marriage. And then he ruined her and Aiden's relationship. And then he ruined her and Aiden's relationship again. So, because, like, you know, they were trying again, and I think she was giving a full-on effort at first, but then once he came back into the picture and they were like friends again, that was the downfall.
Yeah. And then Charlotte also mentions she's surprised Big is moving, and she's like, well, I always kind of thought you and Big would end up together. And Miranda's like, no, it's always gonna be her and Aiden. And I love Carrie being like, that's news to me on both accounts, but thanks.
Well, it should have been. Well, yeah, actually not really, because they were 2 different people, but like in hindsight, if you were going to end up with somebody, he would be in the better choice.
Aiden, you mean?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes. Like as a quality of person,
as a quality of person, but they were 2 different personality wise, so like it didn't really I didn't ship them. I was towards the end, especially when they were about to break up, I was like, I kind of saw it coming because they were just different people. But to go back to Big, I was like, don't do that. Just find somebody new.
And then we get Carrie at home pondering, you know, fate and everything's predestined. And if you live by the stars, but if you live in a city where you can't see the stars, no wonder things are confused. Blah, blah, blah.
Listen, I'm not usually a fan of her quotes, but that one kind of fucked me up a little bit. I was like,
I won't lie. True. I don't hate that one a lot. I was like,
like that might be true. Cause like we live in LA. You can't see stars for shit.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about all the places I used to live and like dating, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing too, like also dating was different because like it was like younger. I didn't see certain things, whatever, you know. So that's a factor. But like, I don't know. The stars thing might have a little something that she might be going somewhere with that theory. I don't hate that theory because definitely like if you think about because like look at people like our friends and stuff like that who don't live in major metropolitan cities like we do. You know what I'm saying? Married, kids, you know, all the fucking house picket fence, all that shit. They found it somehow, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure most of those places, if you look up at night, you probably can see the stars.
That's true.
So she might, like I said, the theory is pretty sound. That's all I'm saying. That fucked me up a little bit. I was like, oh shit, Carrie got me with one. Okay.
4 seasons in, she finally got you. So when she's out with Samantha, when Samantha's talking about Richard cheating, she asks, she's talking to her about it, but then we get one of the most famous moments that's used all the time in promos and stuff that I've used and when I was doing promos and whatnot, is Carrie walks up to a storefront and goes, hello, lover, to the pair of shoes that will eventually be ruined by Miranda's water. Gross.
Birthing water.
But she wants them for her big date, and tells Samantha she still hasn't decided if she'll do sex with him or not. And she's only just picked out the shoes. Ha 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 ha. And then later she's talking to Miranda again about being in the room with Miranda, but then she's like, I'm going to have sex with Big, because it feels right. And Miranda's like, all right, do what you gotta do.
Yeah. She's like, yep, if that's your bed, you can lie in it. I'm done with it. I got a baby to deliver.
I got bigger shit happening, Carrie. Do what you're gonna fucking do.
You know how I feel about it. You know, how everybody else at the table feels about it. So at this point, it's on you. You make your own grave.
So then after dinner and dancing and drinks, Carrie is on a carriage ride with Big in Central Park, which is such a New York, classic thing to do. I know it's corny. I did it with my mom.
I would totally do it.
Loved it. I had a great time.
Yeah.
A jogger told us to fuck off. It was great.
That's what's
I was like 10 out of 10. Greatest city in the world.
New York, right there, baby.
Classic New York.
Classic
so
New
funny.
York.
Our driver was a cool dude. He looked like Val Shmerkovsky from Dancing with the Stars. He totally did.
Nice.
I think he gave us a little extra time in the carriage ride, and I also laughed because it's usually so obviously there's like kind of 3 tiers of people. There was families, and usually it's couples, and then was booking it for me and my mom, and they're like, do you want like proposal stuff like flowers and chocolates? And I almost booked it as a joke to propose to my mom, and I was like, nah, it's fucking weird but funny. I just wanted to fuck with her and be like, I got us candy and flowers because it was part of the package deal.
That would be funny.
But I'm glad I did it because I've always wanted to do it. I like, people have been like, it's bad for the horses, it's not good for the... I don't care. I care about so much shit all the time. I wanted to do this one tourist thing.
She's like, I think you're the first white woman of wokeness to admit that she's fucking tired. I try so hard. I do a lot of good things, or try to do a lot of good things and do right. No, but you know what? No, admit that, because the people that are sitting there pretending that they're just like, they're always on the front line. Like, come on, man, you can't care about everything. You can't. It's not humanly possible to care about everything. We can only care about 5 or so problems that are outside.
I'm going insane with just the problems I do care about.
Right.
Like that shit weighs on me. I get overwhelmed. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
I want to deal with it. No. Hashtag no regrets. I am so glad I did the carriage ride. It was great. I'd do it again too. I'd fucking do it again. If I went there with like a feller and we like did it like night like they do in the show, I'm like, fuck yeah. Absolutely, he would score if he took me on a fucking carriage ride. So line up, gentlemen. Easy peasy. Oh, and then at the end of the carriage ride, even though I'm a full-grown adult woman, the guy was like, "Do you want to feed the horse a carrot?" I was like, "Absolutely, give me
that." Yeah. You fucking kidding me? Hell yeah, I'll feed that horse a carrot. You got any alfalfa? I'll feed him that too.
I'll feed that horse all fucking day.
All fucking day. What are you talking about?
And I laughed super hard. I also think it's very funny. It is a perfect, like, there were families with kids, and each time like the carriage with kids was pulling up, they had all fallen sound asleep because it is just like a relaxing, like it's like being in a car. And I bet it's like the ultimate, like, oh man, we should just take these fucking kids on a carriage ride and zonk them out for the day.
Oh yeah.
Because they had to like be like, okay, the carriage stopped, you gotta get out.
Poor things.
I loved it.
Hell yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah, it seems like it's awesome. It seems like a nice, relaxing ride. I don't understand why anybody doesn't want it.
And it wasn't that expensive. It was like $120 maybe.
Oh, that's not bad.
Which like I thought, and that was the other thing. I feel like people discourage me. They're like, oh no, it's prohibitively expensive. It's so expensive. It's such a big deal. And I was like, oh geez. And so I was like, well, I'll look into it. Where's the Midwest accent, baby?
Oh geez.
Oh geez.
Oh no, it's so expensive. Oh,
I know it sounds so much worse because I have this cold. So anyway, Carrie and Vic are on their carriage ride. Yep. And she's like, what are you gonna do in Napa? He's like, work, smoke cigars, look at the stars.
Yep.
And Carrie's like, are you gonna miss New York? And he's like, nah, but I will miss you. And they start kissing, and then her cell phone rings, and she's like, whose fucking phone is that? And they're like, it's yours, dumbass. Because Miranda got her phone for when Miranda goes into labor, which is what happens. So poor Miranda had to flag her own cab to the hospital.
This is still a time where not everybody had cell phones. That threw me off. I was like, yeah, because she said, when she said Miranda gave me a cell phone, so I was like, gave you? Shouldn't you already have one? But that was 2002.
No,
people were still not a lot of, like, adults even were not rolling around with cell phones still. You know what I mean?
And Carrie is very anti-tech anyway, so like, she wouldn't do it. So they're in the middle of Central Park, and Carrie's like, I gotta rush there. How do I get there? And the guy, like, of course he can't really take him to the hospital, but Big is like, here is a bunch of cash. Can you make this shit happen? And the guy's like, fuck yeah. And they go off.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, but that is very romantic and over the top. And so he drops her at the hospital, and she's like, well, maybe I can meet you for lunch before you leave. And before she goes into the hospital, he calls her name, and she turns around, and he just winks. Doesn't say anything.
Wah, wah.
Boo.
Boo. I wish there needed to be more for that too, because like, yeah, was it smooth in a rom-com? Sure, but if in this context, boo. Like, honestly, I think most women, if you'd have been like, hey, and she turns around, you're just like,
wink.
Like, what
the fuck are you doing? What?
Also,
I don't know how she saw the wink exactly. I'd be like, what? You
right.
called my name. What?
Right. Yeah.
What are you doing?
How the fuck?
My friend is in labor.
She was
what do you
at
want?
the door. She was at the door of the hospital. Ain't no way she fucking saw that wink. He just, as far as she knows, he just kind of smiled at her at best.
Yeah. and then side note here too, I have to say she does look gorgeous here. The black dress, the coat, the pre-ruined Louboutins.
Correct.
And her little short bob haircut. It just all looks really good. Because she does get up to Miranda. Miranda's like, you look really pretty. And Carrie's like, you will do anything to keep me from having sex with Big.
I mean, in a way, she kind of did cockblock her, right, with the call, because she was basically she had made the choice to have sex with him that night, so she's not entirely wrong.
So we get through the birth and everything. Carrie rushes back to Biggs and sees that he's gone, but he's left behind the Moon River record. And like either I think it's an open-ended plane ticket for her or him or something like that.
Yeah, for her to come to, I think, to go to New York.
To go to California. To go to
Naples. To go to Cap.
Because the record has a note on it that says if you ever get lonely, and the plane ticket says if I ever get lonely.
Yeah.
And so then she has this lovely autumn in New York walk home. You know, it's just the leaves are finally starting to fall a little. And it's official, a new season has begun, aka a new season for her, for New York, and so on. And then she does the final thing. This is why I thought the final thing was a 9/11 dedication, but I guess it really isn't. But it does kind of weirdly fit, because she's like, because it doesn't, and it doesn't, because mistakes. Well, I mean, nothing. 9/11's not like a personal mistake you made.
Right.
That shit just kind of happens to you.
Unless you're one of those conspiracy theorists, then it is, right?
Jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
Where that's another podcast.
I didn't know so many people were steel experts,
that's another podcast.
I also didn't know so many people were epidemiologists and so on and so forth in the past couple of years. So there you go.
Right.
Or economists and what have you. Anywho, but Carrie, says, wonders if mistakes shape our lives. But then she kind of concludes with seasons change, so do cities. People come into your life and people go, but they're always in your heart. And if you're very lucky, a plane ride away. And then we get the dedication at the end that says, to our city of New York, then, now, and forever. And it's really nice.
It's nice. It's nice.
And it's
better than what Friends did. They just put Joey in a fucking New York fire department goddamn t-shirt. That was it.
They did? Oh, that's all they
pretty
did?
much it. They kind of glossed over the whole day. Yeah. they didn't really acknowledge it. I think one of the episodes they made it said like a to the brave New Yorkers of 9/11, but I think that they never didn't. I don't know. I'm maybe confused that with another show, but I'm pretty sure they did.
Oh, I mean, I don't recall Friends making a big deal out of it, but I always remember this episode.
Yeah, I don't think that they did. I might be confusing that with another show, because I think the only thing that they did post 9/11 was like Joey was wearing a New York Fire Department t-shirt, and that was kind of like it. I
won't lie. I wonder if it's because Friends is filmed in LA and there's sort of just like a weird disconnect distance. No, I'm like, as much as I'm like, yeah, Friends takes place in New York.
Right.
I don't think of it as like a quintessentially New York show.
Yeah, no, it's not, it was really not. I mean, this is kind of the same thing with like How I Met Your Mother. It's like it's based in New York, but it never really felt like New York, especially if you've ever been to New York.
Yeah.
If you've ever been, you'd be like, nah, that ain't New York.
I think sometimes How I Met Your Mother takes place in Boston and stuff too.
It looks like it, right?
Again, I think it's just like a disconnect of like, it's all filmed on a backlot in Los Angeles.
Right.
Yeah. And but yeah, Sex and the City is very much like New York is in its, bones of the show. Like that's what it's about, dating to the big city and everything like that. But I this is an episode I always really enjoy. It gets replayed a lot. It's pretty clean actually. So that's why it gets played on cable so much.
Yeah, there's only like really one part that's kind of risque, and that's when she walks in on Richard.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. And I think they just usually kind of crop in so you don't get the Fred Eagle chick.
Right.
I think it's funny. I think the plane ride away thing always stuck out to me because obviously post 9/11 people were really afraid to fly.
Right.
And there was a weird, and I remember there was like a weird sort of like, oh, you shouldn't like talk about flying or this or that. I actually went to a protest concert thing in college in like the spring or like my freshman year or something like that. That was talking because the Bush administration was really like cracking down on like sort of censorship type stuff. And they were talking about like they banned songs from radio play like Learn to Fly by the Foo Fighters. That's not about anything bad. It just it talks about flying.
Yeah.
And it was that notion of like, oh, we shouldn't do that. I also thought it was very weird for a hot minute there. And I can't remember what shows were doing it exactly, but there was, or movies, but there was talk of like, oh, they should go back and erase the Twin Towers from certain movies or things like that they're featured in. And I was like, why are you erasing the history?
Yeah,
just because they're gone now. And it's actually, I think it's a hugely disrespectful disservice to pretend they never existed.
Well, that's what they did with Friends, right? The opening of Friends, they in the B-roll, they used to show the Twin Towers a lot, and then they stopped showing the Twin Towers.
I think it's one thing to like that. To me,
I think they did it with Spider-Man too, right?
Spider-Man
in that poster, they edited out the Twin Towers.
They edited them out, and then in the first like teaser, like trailer thing, he catches a helicopter between the Twin Towers in a web. Yeah. And they cut that entirely. I don't think that it's not in the movie.
No.
And actually there's that added gag. I call it a gag. It's maybe not the nicest thing to call it, but it's sort of, it feels a little shoehorned in when the Green Goblin is like gonna drop the thing full of kids and Mary Jane, and people started throwing things at the Green Goblin. They're like, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. Yeah. That's like a really corny, like, obviously the city very came together and we all rallied around New York. Yeah. And that was very real, but like shoehorning.
I mean, it's corny, but it's always kind of real because like, as far as, COVID goes, like that city did kind of bond together as far as like keeping shit regulated. Like everybody was on point about, getting masks and getting vaccinated and shit like that. Like to the point where like a lot of New Yorkers, like if they find out you're not vaccinated, you'll get the fuck out of here. Like they don't want to get out of here. So I mean, they do come together when in times of crisis. So it's like it's corny, but it's real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it is real.
But yeah, I just always thought like it was like so weird and disrespectful that they're like, oh, we have to go into like certain movies now and like start erasing it. And I was like, no, like that's disrespecting the people.
No, yeah, that's like trying to make it seem like that never existed. Like, no, it existed. Let it be there. It's like plus too, like in the times that these movies were made, the Twin Towers are still there. So leave it the fuck alone. Like if it was made, if it's post or if it's pre 9/11, leave it alone.
Yeah,
that's where
it's there.
The Twin Towers were there. Leave it the fuck alone. Post 9/11, don't add them in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry, you might have to explain something to your kids. Whoops,
Like they ain't learning about that shit. It's already in the textbooks. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
They're gonna learn it.
And there are movies that are so New York that they are integral in. Like the two that stick out are Working Girl. Like she's riding, I think, a ferry in that goes right up to the Twin Towers. And she might even, does Melanie Griffith's character work in them? She might. And then actually I just watched it recently, but The Wiz, they actually filmed at the recently completed the sort of entrance to the Emerald City and stuff is all on the like plaza of the World Trade Center. And it was apparently super fucking windy and very hard to film. And they just kind of had to roll with what they got. Because I guess there's like some mistakes and stuff. But man, I fucking love The Wiz.
Oh yeah.
So much.
Good movie.
I love that movie. Yeah, so that always interests me. But then there's one last thing. There are disrespectful ways to bring it up. Like the movie Remember Me, with Robert Pattinson. Do you know?
Seen it?
Oh man, I've never seen the whole thing. And it's this like coming of age, like he's a moody young man. He finds love with Claire from Lost, that actress.
Okay.
Da 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 da. And he like makes peace with his dad, Pierce Brosnan. And then the last like 2 minutes of the movie, he's in his like dad's office. And then they cut to like his little sister in school, and the teacher's writing the date on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And it's September 11th. And then it cuts to him back in the office and pans out, and it reveals that his character is in the World Trade Center and dies during the attack on 9/11. And that's how the movie ends.
Yeesh.
And it comes out of nowhere. It's so infamous. It's so bad. It's so like weirdly distasteful. It's not weirdly, it's just distasteful. Like,
yeesh.
People just call it the Rob Pattinson 9/11 movie because that's like, I don't think if you asked anyone else who has seen it, like, what is the rest of the plot of the movie, they'd go, I don't know. But all I know is at the end of the movie, for no reason whatsoever, other than the like larger point of like life is tragic, you don't know what's going to happen, make the most of your things, da 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 da. And he dies in 9/11.
Guys,
it's insane.
I mean, that's a ballsy way to end the movie. To be
Absolutely.
Honest with you. That's I got to give credit where credit's due. Is it distasteful? Yes, but it's also ballsy. I mean, they say art's meant to like provoke. So,
but
they're part of that part.
It should have just been like a run-of-the-mill like teen drama thing, and like if you wanted him to die, just get hit by a fucking car or something. You don't have to have him go down in the worst terrorist attack on American soil.
Well, at least it's not like at the beginning, right? I mean, like, you ever seen Meet Joe Black? He gets ran over by two cars.
He gets plowed by all those cars.
Two cars. He didn't get hit once. He got hit twice. He got like thrown into another car and got hit. Like, that was unnecessary. First 10 minutes of the movie, unnecessary. After, and it again, it came out of nowhere after this like crazy romantic scene that he just had with the actress Claire, and then like fucking ran over by two cars. Like, so weird. What?
Yeah.
Still love that movie. Great movie.
So yeah, there are good and bad approaches to how you deal with tragic events. I do find it funny that they did not intend for this to be a like tribute episode, but it kind of made sense that it was.
It kind of was though. Yeah, it kind of was. And they did it in a good way too, because they didn't have to bring up 9/11 or nothing like that. They just like the show itself was already written to kind of be a love letter to New York, and then all they had to do was just add a little something at the end, which is fine. I liked it.
Yeah. They have always done well, people argue about this and that, but I'm like, the show loves New York and never pretends that it doesn't.
That's true.
Like that.
That's true.
Because there's the comment Samantha makes. She's like, well, someone's like, where do people go when they leave New York? And Miranda's like, the real world, and Samantha's like, this is the real world.
It is. It's like to me, it's the same thing as LA. It was like, it is the real world, but it's also not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nobody else operates the way that we do. And I think it's the same for New York. Like nowhere else people operate the way that they do. You know what I mean? So it's not really the real world. It's real in the sense of like context of reality. You can see, touch,
yes,
and taste
it is.
You know what I mean? Right.
Location,
but socially, not so much.
Cool. So you can find us, the show, most easily if you go to our Instagram at Show Me What Podcast. It'll take you to our Twitter and our Facebook and our YouTube, where we have almost 200 subscribers. We're at 1.
Woo! Come on, baby. Y'all need to be liking and subscribing this shit, bro. We ain't be giving all this content. Y'all ain't gonna be liking and subscribing, guys. Tell your friends about us, cuz. Come on now.
Yeah.
Spread that word. Like, comment, subscribe, baby.
Yeah, leave some likes and comments if you like what you're hearing or curious. Tell us your favorite New York movie. Mine might be When Harry Met Sally.
Mine is Hitch.
That's a good one.
It's a good movie. Because it made New York sexy. That movie made New York sexy. Like all the I mean, it was still just Manhattan, but Manhattan's like probably the sexiest city in New York. Let's be honest.
Actually, my favorite part of that whole movie, and my brother and I were watching it, and we cracked the fuck up, is like he finds Eva Mendes is like great grandpa or grandpa's name
Oh,
in
yeah.
the like Ellis Island book and has
Yeah.
them like flip the page to it.
Yeah.
And like we're such genealogy nerds, we're like, that is like some of the hot, like if someone did that for either of us, like that's the hottest thing they like could do. But then they get to the scene where she gets there and she bursts into tears and runs away, and we're like, what the fuck is that? And it turns out her grandpa was like a serial killer.
Murderer. He was a straight up murderer.
We were like, that is the funniest fucking thing that could have happened.
But that's the kind of that was like the thing that kind of, you know, because like, you know, they were trying to make him seem like this like love guru guy, but like it kept kind of like, you know, it kind of humbled him, but it humbled him because it was like, but he had to, right? Because no one has it all figured out, and like they're trying to make it like he's the guy that has it all figured out, and it still went wrong for him. So like it was perfect. It made you like warmed up to the character. I loved it. Cool. Where can they find you, Elizabeth?
They can find me at Elizabeth Movies on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Where can they find you?
You can find me on everything at Christopher T. Mack, and our new friend Brady the Bunny.
Oh, Brady, our Lego bunny. And as always,
Brady Hobbs.
Brady Hops.
Brady Hops. Hey, Brady Hops the bunny.
So also, as always, the Arlo Australia candles deal is going on. Promo code Show Me Miss, all caps. Save yourself some money. Get some good smelling candles. And
reed diffusers and bath bombs.
Yes. And that's it for us. We'll talk to you next week.